Hello, my name is João Roque, and I'm an advocate for automation connectivity at Critical Manufacturing. The goal for today is to take a look at observability for Connect IoT. Observability in a broader sense, so we have our observability module, but I also want to take a look at our logging structure and how Connect IoT handles with the different transports. So this is an automation manager. Notice that here in the configuration section, we have loads of stuff, but one of the most important fields is this logging, where we have here type console, type OpenTelemetry, type file. So all of these are very important when configuring the automation manager and your automation in general. So right now, you can see that we have our file integrations, our file transports enabled, but we have our console disabled. So if I come here to my console and start, you'll see that it will start saying that it doesn't have any kind of log transports. So you can see that no transports. So it means that when it has ended the boot cycle, it will stop logging to the console. But if we go here to our path, so let's grab this path over here. We can see that we already have here logs. In the logs, we have the automation monitor, the instances. If we go to the instance, we have our entity, so wafer preparation station, and we have our controller and our drivers. So for example, if I want to see what happened in my TCP IP driver, I can go to my logs. And here I will see everything that happened for the TCP IP integration. So for example, here we can see that it tried to connect to 0005,000 and it was able to connect. For the controller, a bit different. It starts to connect and then it will wait for the drivers and it will eventually change to communicating. Why is this important? It's very important to have visibility in terms of edge devices to see what's happening. Sometimes it's not trivial to understand what's happening, and we need to have ways to better understand why something is not working as expected. So with logs in files, you can put them in a network share or something somewhere that we can access them remotely. Of course, this is not ideal, okay? So that's why we developed our observability module. So going back here to our configuration, let's change it to OTLP true. So basically this will connect the OpenTelemetry module, which is a subscription module in critical manufacturing. So let me change it to be with even more data. So let's change it to debug. Now I'm going to restart my automation. Okay, right now, if I go to my Grafana dashboard, so here you can see that everything is 0 because it was disconnected. And now, suddenly I start receiving data, okay? So you can see that we have debug and we have info. I have one or two warnings. So I have debug because I lowered the verbosity. And you can see already that we have here some information. So this is newer to older. So you can see that in the end it tried to communicate and then it changed to communicating. So let's start doing some more interesting things. Also important, we have here some filters. So in my case, I only have one MES instance, but I could have many more. And also in my case, I'm using the clean room manager. I could have much more managers. So for example, if I choose my observability clean room manager, in this case, I only have one, but then I can filter either by components or by instance ID, okay? And also I can change the verbosity. For example, if I go here and I say I want to see only the warnings, you see that I only have 2 lines now, okay? And if I say all, now I will see everything. So I have here an integration that will basically allow me to do material tracking. So let's do that. So right now, I'm going to change to dispatch one of these wafers. Okay, my wafer is now inside the resource, so it should be here. Okay, it's here. It's dispatched. Now, basically, I have a TCP/IP integration that will receive a TCP/IP message and then track in and track out the wafer. So let's do that. So I have here a material in. Notice here that it should be wafer 01, so it matches this wafer right here. I'm going to do a send. Let's reload. In process now, so we can see that now it has started to do the work, or to work. And now I can say material out. And you can see the wafer is now processed. So if we go back here to more logs, we can see now that, let me refresh so we can have the latest one. We can see how now we have a service call. So basically this was a service call to the MES for a trackout. So we can see all this interesting information right here in the dashboard. Another interesting part is that Connect IoT has this concept of execution contexts, which are these numbers, which are unique IDs that trigger from the beginning to the end of a Connect IoT action. So for example, when an event triggers, it triggers with a unique ID, and everything that follows suit will have this unique ID appended. So for example, if I grab this unique ID and I filter it here in the query part, you can see that basically there was a new branch for material handling that executed a trackout. Okay. In this case, there was also a conversion from a string to an entity instance. So this is very helpful to try and see and understand what's happening. So for example, if I go to my TCP IP server and send again the same message, which means that I'll try to track out a wafer that's already tracked out, which is an error. So let's do that. First, we can see that basically nothing happened in the MES. So this is an error scenario. And if I go here to my Grafana logs, we can see now that we have an error here. So you can see that failed to execute condition, invalid operation trackout on material wafer 01. And also, now this is interesting because we can cross-check with the backend. So let's go back to our dashboards. And if you go to the dashboards of all components, so this CM logs dashboard, and we can filter, for example, by error, we can see already here our error. Okay. You can see that the host replied with an invalid operation trackout on material wafer 01. Material is not in process. I send it twice, so you can see here 2 errors. So we can have not only the on-edge logging, but also the logging from the backend to the front end, to the database. Another interesting dashboards is the dashboards regarding traces and metrics. So, for example, if I go here to metrics, okay, we can already see here kind of a big overview of what's happening in the system. I can filter by MES instance. So right now I'm in Observability Dev MES. It's the name of my system. And you can already see here basically the most requested endpoints, top 10 errors. So you can see the error rate and so on. Going a bit back, if I go to my if I go back to my logging, let me filter again by error. If I go here to my host error, you can see here the message, but you can also see the trace. Okay, so here it shows basically at what point of the service it failed, everything that's being executed throughout the service. It's very interesting to see, for example, where you are wasting time, so where it's taking longer to execute the service. I can also see a better picture of the logs, okay? So if I do this, I can see the full trace logs. So for our automation, this was kind of the most interesting part. So for me, the important takeaways are the manager can be configured in terms of transports. So in terms of logging transports, it has lots of different settings, rollovers and whatnot. But also this part about the open telemetry, where you can send it to observability, and you kind of have for all different sites and for different components a view of what's happening real time. Okay, so I think that's very interesting.